Hello, my name's Sheila. I'm a dietitian here in the hospital. This is a presentation about eating well after cancer treatment. It may not suit everybody, so if you feel the information isn't suitable for you and you'd like further advice, please ask your specialist nurse, doctor or Karen Kelly to refer you to a dietitian. So, why should we be eating healthily? Along with having regular exercise, eating well is one of the best choices you can make for your overall health. It can help to give you energy and reduce fatigue. It can help to fight infection and to reduce the risk of developing several conditions, including cancer, osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. And what is healthy eating? This gives you a demonstration of the amounts of food that we should eat in the correct amounts to include in our diet. So you'll see at the top, most of our diet should be made from starchy foods and fruit and vegetables, and together they should make up more than 2/3 of what we eat. And then there's smaller amounts down at the bottom of dairy products and meat alternatives, and very small amounts of fats and sugars. So just to run through these. For starchy foods, they should be at least 1/3 of what we eat. Unless you've been advised otherwise, you should try and choose high fibre options when you can, and that would be things like wholemeal wheaten bread, cereals with high fibre on the packet, brown rice and brown pasta. Fibre adds bulk to what we're eating, and that helps to make it more filling, which is especially important if you're trying to lose weight. It also helps to prevent constipation and keep your gut healthy. The soluble fibre that you get in oats and pulses has a bonus of helping to keep your cholesterol levels in check. Fibre absorbs fluid, so it's important that you make sure you drink enough, and we'd be recommending at least 8 to 10 cups of fluid a day. That can be water, it can be squash, tea or coffee. The more fibre you eat, the more you have to drink. And then on to the next section. Fruit and vegetables, again, should be at least 1/3 of what we eat. And you've probably heard of eating 5 portions a day between fruit and veg. Now the recommendations are to aim towards 10 rather than just the 5, but see how you go. And the portion's about a handful. Fruit and vegetables are good sources of fibre, and they also provide many of the vitamins and minerals that we need. They have antioxidants that help to keep us healthy. They help to build a strong immune system. They're low in calories or energy, and they may reduce the risks of some types of cancer and other heart disease. Different coloured fruits and vegetables have different nutritional properties, so try to have a good variety through the day. And we talk about eating a rainbow, so having different colours. While fresh fruit and veg are good, frozen are also good, and sometimes they can be very handy. They take less preparation, and very often they're cheaper as well. There's less waste. If you're taking tinned fruit, think about looking for the ones that are tinned in their own juice. And then down at the bottom, if you remember the 2 small sections, so meat and meat alternatives. Meat, fish, eggs and beans are good sources of protein, the building blocks in our body. They help with cell repair, and you should be aiming to have 2 to 3 portions of these over the day. A portion's a piece of meat or whatever about the size of the palm of your hand, or a pack of cards. Red and processed meats have been linked to the risk of developing cancer, and especially bowel cancer. So the recommendations now are to try and limit the amount of these that we eat. The evidence showed that the highest risk was for people eating 2 portions or more of red meat in the day. So aim to have less than that. And the recommendations would be to have no more than an average of 70 grams, which is about 2.5 ounces a day, or about 500 grams, about a pound a week. And no more than 1/3 of that should be processed meat. And that would be things like ham, bacon or sausages. Try and have chicken, fish, eggs or beans at some of your meals, or some of the other vegetarian alternatives. And ideally, to keep your heart healthy, try and have some oily fish in the week if you like fish. I'll come back to that again. And that helps to protect against heart disease. And then my other small wedge at the bottom of my plate model was dairy products. These are a good source of calcium, which is important to keep your bones healthy. And you should be aiming to have 3 portions of these a day. A portion would be equivalent to a glass of milk, or a small tab of yogurt, a piece of cheese about the size of a matchbox. Think about choosing low-fat options such as the semi-skim milk and low-fat yogurts if you're watching your weight in particular. And vitamin D, I just mentioned there, is needed to help us absorb calcium. It's sometimes called the sunshine vitamin because our skin makes it when the sun touches our skin. Recent evidence has shown that in this country it's unlikely that we'll get enough vitamin D just from sun, even on the sunny days and particularly in the winter. So the most recent recommendations are to think about having a vitamin D supplement, especially during the winter months, and that would be 10 micrograms of vitamin D a day. Other food sources of vitamin D would be oily fish, such as mackerel, sardines, salmon and herring, fortified margarines and eggs, and there's quite a lot of fortified foods on the market now as well. And then just to mention weight. Being the right weight helps to reduce the risk of cancer recurrence, developing new cancer, heart disease and many other conditions. Particularly abdominal fatness is linked to health problems, and that makes that a good gauge of where your weight is. The recommended waist measurement is no more than 32 inches for the ladies and 37 for the gentlemen. If you feel that you need to lose a bit of weight, first of all, be realistic, and if you can lose an average of 1 to 2 pounds a week, you're doing very well. Don't expect miracles. The healthy eating guidelines I've been talking about still apply, and if you're following those, you should find that your weight will take care of itself. If you think you're following all the right advice and you still don't see the results you think you should do, try writing things down. Sometimes it just highlights things that you might have forgotten about. And if that's still not working, think about your portion sizes. You can have too much of good things sometimes. And remember, the vegetables and the starchy foods should make up most of what you're eating at a mealtime. And then if you remember a couple of things that were outside the box in my original Eat Well guide, things that are high in fat and sugar should only make up a very small amount of what we eat. Keep them for treats. Fat and sugar add lots of calories or energy, but little other nutrients. And high fat intake, especially if it's saturated fat, is linked to heart disease. So choose lean meats, remove any fat that you can see, and try and cook without adding fat. If you do need to add fat to your food, then think about using a monounsaturated fat such as olive oil or rapeseed oil, or polyunsaturated fats such as sunflower oil. Sometimes the problem that we have is not so much the fat and sugar that we're adding to the food, but what's in the food already. And if you think about how pastry is made, or things like cakes and biscuits and sweets. So again, there's nothing wrong with them, but keep them for a wee treat now and again. And you can try things like low-fat spreads, low-fat milk, sugar-free squashes and lemonades, fruit tinned in its own juice. There's lots of products out there. And think about looking at the labels on food if you're not sure whether something's okay. And then down at the bottom, I just mentioned alcohol. Research shows that drinking alcohol of any sort is a cause of cancer, and particularly for cancer of the mouth, throat, stomach, bowel and liver and breast. Alcohol is also particularly high in calories, so by cutting that down, it's an easy way of keeping your weight in check, and it can be an appetite stimulant. So again, if you're trying to keep your weight down, then it's a good thing to be careful with. If you feel that you want to carry on drinking alcohol, the World Cancer Fund's recommendation is that if you are going to drink alcohol, you should be limited to no more than 1 drink a day, 14 units a week. And that would be including at least 1 to 2 days with no alcohol. And a couple of other things just to mention. Superfoods are something I'm sure everyone's heard of. There are lots of them, they keep coming up with new ones. Unfortunately, there's no evidence that any one food will protect against cancer. But there's very good evidence that having a good variety of foods in a balanced diet, along with weight control and regular activity, will protect against various sorts of cancer, as well as other health conditions. So aim to have good variety of foods in the right amounts. You should be able to get the vitamins and minerals you need from a balanced diet, and remembering to include all the different colours of your fruit and vegetables. However, if you've difficulty achieving this balanced diet, maybe your appetite's not great or you're restricted in some way, then you may feel it's necessary to take a multivitamin or mineral supplement. And as I said before, we'd recommend that everyone should be thinking about vitamin D supplements, especially in the winter. If you feel that you want to take some sort of a supplement, make sure that you check with your doctor or your pharmacist first, and never exceed the recommended dose. So just to recap, by following the healthy eating guidelines along with weight control and regular activity, these are some of the most important things you can do to reduce your risk of cancer or several other health conditions. It can help to reduce fatigue and promote well-being. So remember the Eat Well guide. Try and eat a good variety of fruit and vegetables, limit your intake of processed and red meats, and hopefully get on and enjoy your life. And just some information that you might find useful. These are some websites that have lots of information. Thank you.